Hello ravers, I'm Brawlers and welcome to the Electric DM10, a series dedicated for the EDM DJs and producers that have carried their names into the journey of sound for at least a decade and more. During the time of this recording and posting, the project being covered is still in the professional EDM scene, creating bangers, touring/performing, or both. As the world of electronic music has countless DJs and producers, many qualify for the 10 plus year streak series. Being in the EDM industry for this amount of time is no easy task, let alone in the professional environment. With that said, this series of videos will briefly cover the project, the members, and tours/travels. Most importantly, the music that got these projects the impactful recognition for the listeners and fans of the thousands, millions, and in some cases, billions. For a project to qualify in this series, the following must be met. First, 10 plus years of the project name being active. Important note, the project name cannot change to a completely different name. Second, at least one main headlining tour or direct support tour of the project's time. Special cases can qualify. And third, must have a minimum of 3 EPs, 1 album, and or several songs/remixes published. A special note, the project name can have a time of taking a break from the scene due to health/unfortunate circumstances or taking a different direction within the music industry, as long as the creator of the project doesn't confirm the end of such project in less than 10 years. Now, with that out of the way, we are now into the 15th episode of the Electric DM10. Alright, ravers, it's time. Forgive me if my throat sounds a little raspy because I've been recovering for a little bit, around 24 to 48 hours. I got sick, but now I'm feeling a bit better. And I got a little occupied within the month of July, just taking time for myself, keeping my little old noggin intact. But I am eager to do this 15th episode. 15 episodes of the Electric DM10. It's pretty crazy, and I have so much more that I gotta deliver. I just gotta be consistent in doing these uploads. And I'm thinking about shifting these into Instagram and on TikTok. Most likely it's gonna happen. But let's cut that out of the way. We're going to keep the intro short. For every 5 EDM documentaries I do, 1 out of the 5, I try to look for a female DJ and producer to showcase and cover her history in the EDM scene. Even though there are several gals in the EDM world out there, these electronic stars must go by my rules that I have applied in the beginning of every Electric DM10 documentary video. With that said, forgive me for all the hardcore supporters on this project. I hardly know much of her, but I started listening to her music, and I'll give my brief recommendations in the end. Well, we learned something new along the way, and every day, ravers. So let's get the gears going with this episode for this gal that we're gonna cover. Anybody that is a fan of dark-themed techno house status with a little bit of a flair of explicit spiciness into this gal has got you covered, and she goes by Sara Landry. A little excited to cover this one, so let's do this. Sara Landry is an American DJ and producer, with her origins actually being from the Netherlands, but she was actually born here in the United States. She used her real name as her project name for the EDM scene to know her, mainly having her style as hard and dark techno. She has come along on a pretty eye-rising journey, just as she is reaching a decade in the music scene. How about we sprinkle in that good industrial elemental style and a touch of spiritual influence, and you got yourself a lady with a project that is a force to be recognized. Or reckoned with. Something like that. Time to get into her history. It's short, but to the point. As Sara was a youngster, she went to school just like any regular gal would, including going into higher education. Many would not believe the areas that she studied for, so I'm going to allow her to explain that a little with this video clip.
I am not a classically trained musician. I am not somebody who went to music school at all. And I am not somebody who went to production school instead of college or anything like that. I went to NYU and I have a degree in finance, psychology, and advertising. My thesis was called The Psychology of Capitalism. That is literally what I studied in college.
Yeah, kind of a wide-eyed fact from Sara herself in changing her entire field of studies in multiple industries to now having 10 years, barely 10 years into the music scene. And in my opinion, she made the right choice. With the music motivating her and having an escape as she was enjoying the night within the underground clubs of New York, she tells herself, you know what? I can do this. I can DJ. I want to learn how to make music. so I'm gonna be a DJ and make my own songs too. From that point onward, and even completing her studies, the Sara Landry project was born. Being self taught, Sara went for the start of her journey after returning to Texas, and this is where she started her footing into the DJ world. Sara started to perform in small venues including Kingdom, Plush, not the toys, Vulcan Gas Company, and more. But DJing wasn't going to be enough for Sara. As she started to write her music, that's where her level started to amp up. Because in 2018, she released her debut single, Chasm. A year later, she signed with Mousetrap and released her first EP called Wait. Wait, are you serious? Yeah, that's actually the name of the EP, Wait. Her techno persona grew significantly when she returned to her country of origins, the Netherlands. Her name grew into a new level around 2023, with her Boiler Room set becoming the third most streamed set of the year with over 6 million views. This got her to go all over the world, spreading her style and sounds in massive festivals almost nonstop from that point onward. Even having a successful album to keep her mark, where will Sara go next? The EDM world and especially the techno supporters will have an eye on her name. Speaking of going to places, time to cover the destinations where she DJ'd and the festivals as well. With the tours and travels, Sara Landry is now touring all over the world. Well, here are some of the tours to mention, which will be the Legacy Tour and the Veni Vidi Vici Tour, going into destinations like Mexico, Peru, Brazil, Chile, Belgium, France, also touring Asia for the very first time in late 2024, a personal dream of hers that she always wanted to do. And covering a few of the festivals that she went on that Asia tour would be the 808 Music Festival and the One Universe Festival. One of her biggest accomplishments with the project name is performing Main Stage, aka Kinetic Field, for EDC Las Vegas for 2025. Only few female DJs / producers had the honor and recognition to perform on this massive primary stage in front of thousands upon thousands. Not only that, but very few to be solo and conquering the stage. Massive props indeed. At the time I'm doing this documentary and posting it online, she will soon be performing for Positive Electronic and Le Jardin Music Festival that will take place in France. Sara Landry will be in the western part of the United States performing for a unique festival and an after party at a club. Here's the clue, we going in hard. Other festivals that she has performed will be the following: Coachella, Verknipt, Red Rocks, and more. Before jumping into the fun facts, let's see the numbers on her musical pages, shall we? With SoundCloud, she has a total of 144,000 followers with 64 submitted tracks. Jumping into Spotify, she is almost at 1.5 million monthly listeners. Here's the future edit for that little fact. She is now over 1.5 million on Spotify. So congrats, Sara. All right, the fun facts. Sara Landry's birthday is on my birthday, September 22nd, but she's exactly 1 year older than me. So that's pretty radical. Her Hecate artwork for her album is almost like a solid collection, but every item is somewhat liquefied, and this does look nifty in my opinion. The two motivations in life for Sara are, cue the video,
Sub-frequencies and carbohydrates are like my two big motivators in life. And so
she has this vibe of a dark Halloween-like aura that some people would call her looks to be witchy. Damn, didn't know Sara is dominating at a reasonable level on the Tickety Talks with over 750,000 followers and over 11.5 million likes, which is pretty crazy. Speaking of TikTok, I do got to get back into that platform. With Sara stating that she went to higher education in New York University, this little fact brought up to my mind. Another DJ and producer from the past also went to New York University, and this project was by the name of Ducky. Touching briefly on this dead project, the two have the common ground of finishing their studies, but in different fields. Feel free to see Ducky's documentary here, and it will be in the EDM box below. As of the year 2024, she became the first ever hard techno artist to perform on Tomorrowland's main stage. She was, in fact, the first DJ to open up the festival, too. She founded the Clubhouse, Warehouse, and Livestream event series, which celebrates the raw and experimental essence of the underground techno music. This little bit I didn't know about. Landry is open about her experiences with her ADHD disorder and other neurodivergent conditions. However, she explains and shows how she channels her energy into her music and creative mindset. A good amount of her tracks, not all of them, but a fair amount of them, bring this dark but seductive, sexy style of an aura. I'm gonna leave that edit there. Aura of a vibe, and I'm all for it 100%. Didn't think that this type of techno would be my style, but hey, you hear new stuff almost every day when you plan and do these types of videos. During the year of 2025, mainly in the month of May, Sara Landry was scheduled to play and open up a brand new dance club in New York called the Brooklyn Mirage. Unfortunately, with the last minute inspections not meeting the deadline, this show was completely canceled. With the hundreds and hundreds of disappointed sides with the techno world and especially Sara Landry's audience, Sara and her team decided to go full born with finding an alternative to perform in New York City to make up for the Brooklyn Mirage's delayed opening. Striving for that last bit of hope, Sara and her team were able to nail not 1, 2, 3, but 4 last-minute shows in New York City with just hours to spare. There is an article online that has circulated during the news with the Brooklyn Mirage's cancellation of the grand opening, so I strongly recommend you ravers to go check it out. It's pretty cool. All right, the last fun fact that I'm going to put down for her. In 2024, as Sara announced a Factory 93 Labor Day show in Los Angeles, California, she had 15,000 plus ravers sign up for the pre-sale in less than a day. So the demand for this type of music is going onward pretty well. All right, let's go into the collaborations that she has been affiliated with. And here are some of the producers that she has worked with. Alex Farwell, Lex Dina, I believe that's how you say it. Nico Moreno, Alt 8, and Don Wozik. Some of the record label submissions that she has placed her music in would be the following: Pink Star Black Recordings, Mousetrap Recordings, Techno Germany Records, Crisis of Man, RAW, and now owning her own record label, Hecate Records, which is pretty cool. Let's finally dive into the nitty-gritty of this documentary, which would be her discography. So we're going to first look at her singles, which here are some that I would mention: Tell Me, Ruthless, No Sleep, Prisoner, Deeper, and her first ever song that she submitted, which is Chasm. Her EPs that she has submitted will be the following. Thanks to Spotify for breaking some of these EPs down, I now know some of what she has submitted, including the years. First will be Act of God, released in 2020. Then, the year 2021, she released 3 EPs: About Last Night, Incoming, and Queen of Banshees. Going into 2022, 1 EP was released by the name Delirium. And lastly, before her album, she released an EP called Because They Won RC in 2024. Now, with the album, this is called Spiritual Drive-By, and this has a total of 12 tracks, one of them reaching very, very significant numbers, especially being one of the cues for massive festivals. Well, we can't get to the final thoughts before covering my personal recommendations, and they will have to be these following songs: Heaven, Funkum, Play With Me, ADHD, Legacy, and Spiritual Drive-By. Of course, one of my personal favorites will have to be Heaven. Not only because it's popular, but there's just something about that groove that is really good. And also Play With Me. This is the part where I said, okay, this is the type of techno that I can personally get down with. My final thoughts with Sara Landry. She has had a unique rise to the top and being well recognized now in the EDM scene, mainly on the techno category of this world. I personally haven't met her. In fact, many of the documentaries that I'll do in this series for the World Wide Web, I won't be able to meet them at all. Nonetheless, it's a project worth looking into and hearing her style if you're a techno veteran or a new raver that has been drawn to this style. Now being recognized as the high techno priestess, Sara has more in store for her up and coming journey into sound. One more thing, as I mentioned, Sara is going to be performing at Hard Summer 2025 in Los Angeles, California. So that was my little cue earlier on in the video. Anyone that's going to be catching her set, please do so. And if you can catch her, she will be performing at Exchange LA on the weekend, right after the festival finishes, which will be the first week of August 2025. A pretty nifty documentary to wrap it up, if I do say so myself. That's going to be it. Thank you very much, ravers, for watching from beginning to end, and thanks for your patience with me in doing these documentaries. I do want to have some type of schedule, but it's just not really clicking in my head. I do these for fun. I don't get paid by YouTube to do it. But if we get 500 followers on my YouTube page, that's going to be a pretty eye-popping thing for not only me personally, but for the YouTube algorithm, in hopes that maybe, just maybe, I can start seeing a few cents from YouTube. That's my job, to be consistent with this type of material, but at the same time, I have other stuff that I am wanting to go forward with in my own life, and along with other content creations that I want to do outside of YouTube. So that's what I try to tackle with multiple stuff at the same time, which isn't a good idea, but hey, it keeps the mind flowing. Be sure to check out Sara Landry's pages. Her musical and social media pages will be in the EDM box below, along with my EDM shenanigans in the EDM box below. Once more, thank you, ravers, for tuning in to Sara Landry's Electric DM10. Coming up next will be kind of a surprise for some people. Keep your eyes open. Once more, thank you, ravers. Lastly, keep listening, stay safe, and rave on.